Welcome back to day 2 of the Global Landscapes Forum here in Bonn, where we're coming to the end of our 2 days where we've been focusing on rights in the landscape. And this evening, I have with me Innocent Mukheli and Vuyo Mpantsha. Thank you for joining me.
No problem. Thank you for having us. Yeah.
And they are the founders of a Soweto-based creative agency called I See a Different You, whose aim is to transform perspectives about South Africa and Africa as a whole.
Yes.
Yes? Great. So let's talk about, tell us more a bit about what your agency does and how you began.
Innocent.
So we all were working in advertising. Myself was an art director, Vuyo copywriter, and now our business partner was not here. It was creative director then. We saw a gap, so I'll cut the story short. We saw a gap in the market or in the industry that there's a lack for local content in terms of advertising imagery that you see on banks, on stores, fashion, all those things. We saw the gap that all the photos you see are not people from Johannesburg or from South Africa. They are foreign-looking people. So we wanted to change that, to localize everything that's around, that's in advertising. Also tell the authentic stories of us as South Africans. If you're a Soweto person, we'd want to write an ad that you'll resonate with. If you're from the Eastern Cape, we'd write an ad that you'll resonate with. And also encourage the industry to write ads in their own language in a way. That's the advertising part of it. And then as a blog, when we started, it was mainly because we went to Kenya for the first time, myself and Neo. When we got there, we saw an amazing place. It was something that we never thought it was. The perception of it from us was wrong. Because we thought it was a jungle, the first thing we thought in our heads.
Thank you.
And when we landed, it's really, really amazing. And then we shared the message with Vuyo and the other guys that, hey guys, Kenya is really amazing. Yeah. And if we think of Kenya that way, it means it's only fair that everyone in the world would think of Africa as a whole in that way. So we need to start telling our own stories as Africans and show the world the pride we have for where we're from and how beautiful it is we're having it here and how cool and authentically amazing. You know, it's not a jungle. It's beautiful here. You know, so we started telling those stories.
Great. So from a blog, you transformed, like a simple photography blog, it became a fully fledged agency, right?
Yes.
And because I understand you also have big clients that you work with now.
Yes. So yeah, it was a blog, as you said. It started off as a blog with us taking pictures of ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, in these environments that people say are dangerous. So we stood in them taking pictures, and people noticed the images, and then they're like, yo, South Africa's so beautiful, Africa's so beautiful. And then the pictures were so beautiful that clients wanted us to take pictures of their brands, because our voice was authentically African, so they wanted to use our voice to sell things that they wanted to do. And with advertising background that we have, it was easier to connect the two.
Right.
So that's what we do now.
Very, very clever. So I know that you were part of the plenary of changing the narrative, right?
Yes.
So why is this important? Why is changing the narrative important?
It's highly important because when you inspire the youth to speak positive of themselves, you change the environment. Whatever that place used to have, or the negative judgmental cloud or dark cloud around that environment, let's say Soweto, and people are now being positive and they speak life to themselves, they enjoy being there. The landscape changes because now people love that place. They don't see it as a daunted ghetto. Now they see it as, come check out where I'm from, man.
Right.
It's amazing, you know. And then the narrative changes, the landscape changes.
That's true.
You know,
because if you grow up in Africa and you Google Africa, all you see is how there's poverty in Africa. You know, Africa's dangerous. You know, so if you are being fed that for a long time, you end up believing it.
Right.
But then if you start telling people to say, no, Africa's nice. You know, just because you're from Africa, it doesn't mean you're not going to make it.
Yeah.
You know, you instill hope. And then when a person has hope and they believe in it, they start changing their environment.
Right.
They start seeing the positive around them, not just the negative.
Right. Yeah, very true. Very empowering.
Thank
Yes,
you.
and I think it's time that Africa, gets empowered and
Yes.
starts telling our own stories. And then again, and you're right, and then we change our environment.
Yes.
Yeah. So I was going to say that how does your agency sort of work with the environment and landscapes? I guess you.
So we're quite fortunate that we work with big brands. They allow us to write their commercials. They allow us to shoot their fashion campaigns. We get to have a bigger voice through the clients we have. I'd say, for instance, we worked on a New Balance sneaker campaign where it's a culture piece where it speaks of how cool we are as Africans. You know how there is skating in Johannesburg. There's also guys who do parkour. There's amazingly talented soccer players. It just shows the cool, and how we contribute in that is through the work we do, like the ads we write. We align ourselves with clients we believe or any work that we believe in, and it lives within the ethos of our business, and we get to reach more people with the radio ads that we write. Also just the cool things that we think are cool and we share, and people think, oh, cool, that's nice.
Fantastic,
Yeah.
fantastic. So I know it's your first time at the GLF. Can you give us how's your experience? How's it been here in Bonn?
Oh, no, arriving. It's our first time here in Bonn. So we were we thought it was smaller than what it happened to be. We thought it was probably 10, 15 people.
Yeah.
And then there was just so many people.
Yeah.
And we had doubts of our presentation, thinking it's not good enough for 700, for so many people, like 600 people I heard.
Yeah.
So it's been an amazing experience, Like, we've learned so much. And it's like, imagine like everyone from all over the world coming to one place. And then we are all chasing the same goal, just differently,
Right.
in our different pockets. And it's amazing.
Great.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Great.
It's an amazing experience.
And what are some of the important takeaways? Did you get to spend a bit more time? Did you watch the Indigenous People
Yeah.
and their contribution? What did you think about that?
Oh, I think personally, my take on that is we need to preserve our heritage.
Right.
We need to celebrate it and show it to the people, because it's so easy to forget what we have. It's so easy to forget our culture. We need to preserve it. We need to also learn about it, practice where we can. It's not a must, but if you know it, you can share down that knowledge to the younger generation, And yeah, that was empowering to see people that embrace positivity, that are all about changing the narrative to a positive, people who share the same goal as us. It's such a mind-blowing thing.
It is quite. And I know we've been discussing, rights of people in terms of the landscape, which I think is a very important topic in terms of preserving our environment. And even us guys from Africa, it's like preserving our traditional knowledge, which we're kind of losing, but we need to capture.
Yes.
So what are your thoughts on that?
On preserving our knowledge.
Yes,
it's
our
important.
traditional. Yes.
It's important, because if you don't have it, then how do we know where we're going?
Yeah.
Because you always need a reference point, I have an example I like to make, but I don't think it's appropriate for now. It's that example of you always need to go back somewhere in order to get strength. So if you don't know where you're going, or you don't have hope, and then you can't be like, like my father used to. I'm trying to put it in English. It's harder in English.
Yeah.
So it's that if we have a place where we go to and we get lost, it's easier.
Right.
Yeah, so if we preserve the knowledge and our heritage, we're able to take it forward, and people are able to see it and understand themselves better.
Sorry to jump on, there's a thing that me and Vuyo have been going through this past month, where he found there's a thing in his culture, or in the South African black culture, where there's, it's not poetry, it's sort of a thing that praises you and your surname, and I call him with that, because he started embracing that, and he's been saying, bro, where is yours? Where is that poem that empowers you as a Mukheli? Where is it? Because I want to call you with your ancestor's name, like with it has power. And it made me want to go back home and chill with my mom and ask him the history of my surname and climb the family tree and understand it better. You know, and it's such a funny thing because now we want to embrace that more. You know, it comes with growth, I think.
Yes, and so many cultures all over Africa have that, and most people don't know about it. So we want to embrace that more and put it somewhere. It must be on a website.
Right.
Where if you want to know who your clan
You
name is
are.
or where
Yes,
you come
your
from, you
clan,
must go online and find out where it is. Yeah, but it's not there.
No, because I mean, like even like in Kenya sometimes, you're like in the Mara and you see a Maasai and you're like, you know, what's your name? And he's like, David.
Yes.
I'm like, what's your name?
Yes.
What's your name? You
Yes.
know? And
Yes.
so yeah, I'm like, you know, your baby's David, but you have a name, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like
Exactly.
finding that back and finding our
Yes.
roots, going back, yes, which empowers us even more
Yes.
in changing our narratives
Yes.
because we know where we've come from.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, very true. So I guess my last question would be, how do we get more young people involved in, you know, in like we're at a crisis point right now with the environment. So I don't know what advice you would have for young people to get more involved in terms of making an impact in their lives.
I've two.
Yeah.
I think the first one is I heard it from. I'm re-quoting. It's not mine.
Yeah,
I heard it from the forum
yeah.
yesterday. It's that people are the problem, so they should be the solution, right? And then the second one is if we want to get like proper change, we need to capture people's emotion. Yeah. So if we capture their hearts, and emotion is stronger than reason.
Yes.
Yeah. So if we catch them emotionally, they'll be able to make the change.
Very true. And right now, what I've found is that the younger generation, the passion, you know, there's no stopping them. It's like a
Yes.
fire that's like a wildfire, and
Yes.
and they're holding onto it and very strong. And I'm like,
Yes.
and they're changing things. If they weren't leading the way right now, I'm not sure how we'd be handling this climate situation, this crisis.
Exactly.
So I mean, it's unstoppable. I
Yes.
find, yeah. And you?
It's I think the best way to involve the youth is to get the ones that are interested to be part of this in a way, because I think as I am, when I look at this immediately, I'm thinking this is too big. I don't know how I can be part of this thing. But if you make it easier and you must be in the places where they hang out.
Yeah.
It shouldn't feel like it's unreachable.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's too up there.
Yeah.
You know, we are fortunate in a way. I don't know how and who curated this and found us, but I would just think it's a corporate thing that's happening there. Let me just go hang out and buy sneakers with my friends.
Yeah.
You know, but if you, it mustn't feel too far. It must be here.
Yeah. You speak in the language that they understand.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's
Yes.
how you capture the emotion.
And also market in their places in a way that they can see that, oh, there's a cool thing happening here. Like last night we went out with the youth. I don't know
Youth
that
group,
type.
yes. Yeah.
It was so amazing because they're young, they are cool, they do everything that we do, and they all about
Changing the planet,
changing the narrative. And it didn't feel like we are in a. I shouldn't say this.
Yeah,
like,
don't
yeah, I
say
wouldn't say it. It shouldn't feel like it's like a boring mathematics class.
Yeah.
It should feel like, oh, we are all cool, one-minded people, single-minded people having fun, you know, and we are moving a very positive message all together, and we are strong.
Yeah. Perfect.
You know.
Well, thank you both for joining me this evening as we close the 2 days at GLF. It's been a real pleasure to speak to you both.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
And yeah, we wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.